This is Bella Talks, and I am your host, K Bella, and this is where we talk about fitness, fashion, finance, and life. And I have the pleasure of having Miss Nyema Thomas on the show.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born and raised right here in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm a mother, grandmother. I have grandkids.
What?
Yep. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother as well. And I'm also the owner of 1126 Elite Training Academy.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about the Elite Training Academy. What does that consist of?
1126 Elite Training Academy consists of a training academy for firearm related courses. We teach concealed carry, pistol and rifle shooting courses, hunter safety. We also are a licensed FFL. We sell firearms as well.
Wow. So how did you get started into selling guns and the concealed weapon thing?
Oh, that's a long but special story. So I've always, just like everybody else, I've always wanted to be a business owner.
Okay.
But I've always been a little bit different. As a girl, I'm tomboyish to the heart. Not a girly girl at all. So I didn't want to do the traditional businesses. Hair, I can't do hair.
Right.
Can't do nails. And there's a lot of cute boutiques and things like that for women. I would not know how to dress anybody. I like sneakers. So that wouldn't have worked for me. So I wanted to do something different. So I started the process to becoming a firearms instructor. I started my business in memory of my mom, though.
Oh, okay.
That's actually where I get the name from, for the business. 1126 Elite Training Academy. November 26th was my mom's birthday.
Oh, okay.
But so I started out teaching first aid CPR classes just while I was working on getting the license to teach the gun related courses or whatever, and it was a long drawn out process. But I wanted to go ahead and get the legal paperwork set up, the LLCs and all the necessary paperwork that's required to open up a business. So that, by me starting to teach the CPR, first aid and all that stuff, it kind of was the foundation for me to, get everything done from the legal aspect.
So being a woman, was it hard trying to get into this male dominant field?
Oh my gosh, hard is an understatement.
They made see a lot of men own right. guns and selling traditional. Yeah, it's all men owned.
It is. Hard was an understatement. They tried to make it almost impossible for me to get here. I'm not a quitter. I'm very determined. Once I set my mind on something, I'm going to see it through to the end. So I had to jump through so many obstacles and hurdles. They gave me the runarounds for about 9 months, going on 10 months.
9 months?
9 months. It was a lot.
So, okay, knowing what you know now, how long does it usually take for you to get start to finish on getting your paperwork and everything else?
60 days.
What? And they made you wait for 9 months?
9 months. It was one thing after another. The first thing that I encountered was the guy telling me in Tallahassee, telling me that there was an issue with my background, which was odd because I don't have a background. The most I have is like a couple tickets. I don't have a background, so I found that odd. It went from being the background to character references was not good enough. So ultimately, he said that he needed to meet me in person in order to feel comfortable approving everything.
Wow. So it's knowing now it takes 60 days and you had to do 9 months. Now, when you were going through that, how did that make you feel?
Honestly, a lot of times I almost felt defeated. A lot of times just because I had a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of crying nights, it was a lot, just because I know I was doing everything right, and it seemed like my all was not good enough. Every time I felt like, okay, I'm getting a step closer, I was knocked back 2 more steps. Right. They made it almost impossible. I mean, I
hear a word from our sponsors. One of our sponsors is Key Touch LLC. He is one of the best in the city for pressure washing. He also does car detailing. He does mobile, where he comes to you. You need to reach out to Key Touch LLC. Now, back to the show.
I would cry. It got so bad to where I had to stop venting to my husband, because he was so sick. He would get so sick of it. He would get mad. Like, I just had to keep it bottled in. I couldn't even vent to him anymore, because he would get so mad because I was going through this. And, like, you know, he was like, well, I told you, just find something else to do. He
was like, listen, I'm sick of it. Just find something else.
He was over it. Finally, he was like, well, give me his number. I was like, I'm not giving you that man number. Like, I'm never going to do it if I get it. Like, what? So I had to kind of hide my emotions, just because it would upset him so bad. I remember one night I was just so upset, and I thought he was asleep, and I was crying. And I messed around, and he's like, I know damn well you ain't over there crying. I was like, bro. Like, I can't even cry. Like, what is going on? It was so bad. I would be like, dang. He's like, I don't know why you sitting up here letting him cry. Look, excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He's like, I don't know why you sitting up here letting that man stress you out. And just find something else to do.
Oh my
I'm like, I don't want to do anything else.
So that
my heart was set.
Right.
I didn't want to do anything else.
So I feel like you're the epitome of never giving up. You was determined on one thing. Whatever obstacle got in your way, you was like, I'm still gonna push forward until the Lord tell me no.
Right.
And I think, especially with our younger, and we was talking about that off camera, like with our younger crowd, they get into something and then it doesn't go their way, and then they stop, and then they try to go somewhere else and do that, then they stop. So it's like they have 10 things under their belt that's unfinished because they're not determined to follow through with it. And I feel like your story is like pretty much just the footprint of not giving up.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I try to teach my kids. And like I said, I have grandkids too that's paying attention. When we think kids are not paying attention, they really do pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, and my older kids are grown. I have adult kids, but then I have a 16-year-old. And that's one of the things that I try to lead by example when it comes to you know, teaching him. You could be anything that you want to be.
Right.
Or you could be, you know, Obama proved that you could be president.
Right.
As an African American. And for me, it's important because I was a young mom. Like I said, I have adult kids. I started having my kids early. So with my adult kids, I grew with them.
Right.
And now I'm still healthy enough. I'm still stable-minded enough to now be able to give them something that they could be proud of. Because I struggled as a young mom. I struggled as a young mom, but one thing that I've always prided myself on is getting up, going to work. They never seen me lay down and accept less than.
Right.
They always seen me go to work and make something happen. I never, even though, you know, they have 2 parents or whatever, one thing they could always say about mom, my mama gonna make it happen.
Right.
She's gonna make it happen.
Right.
And that's important for me. This is going to be my legacy. It's in memory of my mom, but it's something that I can leave to my kids, my grandkids.
Yes.
My son right now today, my 16-year-old, he works with me sometimes. I've trained him to become, he's a junior instructor. I sit back and watch him teach the whole concealed carry class.
And I feel like, especially being an African American male, that is very important to have that type of skill set and knowing the legality behind it as well, because a lot of times these boys are getting gun charges and they don't know why, because it was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Listen, that happens so much that I've had at least 5 situations where that has happened, especially when it comes to African American youth, especially young men. That's one of the things that I do tell my adult students. If you have kids, especially college age kids, as soon as they turn 21 or become legal age to get a gun license, I encourage them, take them somewhere. Even if you don't bring them back to me and have them take my class, take them somewhere and get that gun license.
Right.
And let me first say, because there's a misconception, people hear me and I have to always elaborate and go into details when it comes to explaining and give people understanding of what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not promoting that you teach your kids to carry guns. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is you equip them with that card to carry in their wallet, because in the event that they're in the car with someone and there's a gun in the car, if nobody owns that gun, everybody in the car goes to jail.
Wow.
Now, in a situation where if the child has a gun license, first off, he's not going to own up to that gun. He's gonna, the first things that we're gonna teach him to say, officer, that's not my gun. I don't know anything about that gun. However, you cannot take me to jail and charge me with that gun, because legally I could be around a gun. Here's my gun license.
Wow.
Your child goes home while everybody else goes to jail.
That is good information to have.
And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the world we live in today. It happens. I've had at least 5 situations where the kid's been home from school visiting and end up in that exact same situation, goes to jail. They cannot go back to school because now they have this felony case pending.
Wow.
And by the grace of God, each one of those students, they came to me, they took my class, and the judge gave them diversion. And once they went back with the copy or with the gun license in hand, it was dismissed.
Wow.
And they were able to go back to school.
That is very, very good information. I myself am trying to get my license and get a gun, because it's like a lot going on now, and we need to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you as far as getting classes and coming out to your place. I know you kind of touched a little bit on this, but what motivates you and what keeps you pushing with your business?
So my motivation is definitely my family. I try to keep God first. And like I said, it's personal for me just because it's in memory of my mom. So it's deep rooted, and I'm doing what I love to do. So when you're doing something that your whole heart is in, it does not feel like work.
Right.
So my whole objective is, because I was born and raised in the city of Fort Myers, this is my community.
Right.
So my whole objective is to create responsible gun owners.
Right.
Anybody who could pass a background check could go and purchase a gun. But in creating responsible gun owners, where I'm hoping to eliminate the crime. I'm hoping to definitely do away with the accidental shootings involving kids.
Right.
And I do that by creating responsible gun owners and the parents.
Yes. Right. So just having information in place regarding guns and how to be able to be around them and conceal and everything else is a big deal, especially in our community.
It is, because the thing about it, like, a lot of people go, there's a million gun stores around here, and a lot of people go and they purchase guns and they pass the background check. The clerk give them the gun. If you don't have a gun license already, there's a 3-day hold in the state of Florida. So we're required to hold the gun for 3 days if you don't already have your gun license.
Right.
If you have your gun license already, then you can leave with the gun right then and there. But for me, it should be a lot more to that. you should be educating these people
right
on what the do's and the don'ts are when it comes to these guns. Because what they don't tell people is you don't have to have a license to purchase a gun, but you have to have a license to carry it.
Right.
And that's another way that people end up in a world of trouble, because they're under the impression like, hey, I went and bought this gun from the store. I passed the background check so I could carry it.
Right.
And that's not the case.
Right.
You have to have a gun license in order to conceal that gun. And so what happens is they're pulled over, right? The police do a search on the car. And they have this gun in the car, which is considered concealed because it's in the car.
Right.
They don't have a valid gun license.
Mm-hmm.
So now you find yourself fighting a felony gun charge. Just because the company or the person who sold you the gun did not go the extra mile with educating you.
Wow. So you have a lot of information. How can we get in contact with you?
Okay. My telephone number is 239-234-0610. The address at 1126 Academy is 4100 Evans Avenue, Suite 4 in Fort Myers, Florida. And then I also have a website. It's www.1126.org.
All right. So, being the first Black woman owner of a firearm business, period, what can we look forward to seeing from you in the future?
I'm working on a lot of different things. I mean, in addition to selling the guns, doing the classes or whatever, I also sell, I'm a licensed agent to sell Florida firearm protection. It's actually a concealed carry insurance that I highly recommend.
Okay. What is that?
It's a really great policy. So what it is it's a policy that protects you in the event that, kind of like life insurance, medical insurance, and it protects you in the event that you're involved in a shooting. In addition to providing legal coverage, it covers you up to $1 million on the civil aspect in the event that you are involved in a shooting and now the person comes back and try to sue you for monetary value.
Wow.
In addition to that, God forbid you shoot somebody and the officer who arrives at the scene places you under arrest.
Right.
The policy bonds you out. They pay up to $500,000 towards your bail. Also, in the event that you're involved in a shooting, say for instance an intruder comes into your home and you're involved in a shooting, you have to shoot somebody in your home.
Right.
The policy sends out a environmental cleanup company to clean up the crime scene in your home, and it's only $13 a month. So I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense. So if you get your license, get your gun, you definitely want to tag on that insurance, because if that does happen, in the event of that happening, you will be covered all the way around.
All the way around the board.
That's amazing. I like that. I didn't even know they even had anything like that.
And I was anti-concealed carry insurance for a long time, because the other policies that I came across and ran into, I felt like it wasn't worth the money. You did not get a lot of value for your buck.
Right.
The services and the options that they were providing, it just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
So if it doesn't make sense, I don't do it. So I'm not going to try to sell anybody anything that I'm not going to let anybody sell me.
Correct.
So I was against it, and I would tell my students, no, that's not, I wouldn't, recommend that. But this company, when I came across this company, it made sense, so much so to where I became a licensed agent to sell it, just so I could give it to and provide the option to my students, just because it's so important. I feel like it's necessary.
Right, it is.
And then in addition to just a single policy, you have the option to even purchase a family plan. It covers everybody in the household.
Yeah,
so I have it also, so it covers my 16-year-old in the event that, because like I said, I trained him to become an instructor, and it protects him. And not only just with firearms. Say for instance there's an intruder and he has to stab somebody, he's still protected. Yeah, so in addition to that, I actually also have, I'm proud to announce, Girlz Guns. That's my new all-female shooting club.
Okay.
So I am working.
Yeah, so I'm working on the Girlz Guns.
Yeah, so the whole objective for Girlz Guns is to create something different, and promote women empowerment, and just bring something different to the city of Fort Myers. I don't do the club scene. I don't hang out. I don't go out. But it provides an alternative to, the club scene. So ideally, once we get enough like-minded women, ideally, I want to shoot in competition.
Wow. So you heard it here on Bella Talks. We got Girlz Guns. So any of you guys wanting to reach out to Miss Nyema, you can reach out to her. I will have her handles on the bottom of the screen. And also, if it gets to the point where you like it and get more, comfortable with it, she wants to do competition.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of money. Listen, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
You're bringing a lot of information.
It's a lot of money.
I didn't know.
Most people don't, because those are things that's not in our community, and that's one of the things that. Also, I have a youth program that I want to launch as well. I do trainings for kids as well. I do active shooter training, because our biggest fear when we send our kids to school is them not coming home, or us getting alerts on our phone saying that there's an active shooter at the school or wherever. So with the active shooter training, I feel like it's very necessary. I feel like it's important for us to educate our kids on how to survive that type of situation.
Right.
We send them to school with the hope we want them to come home.
Right. And not only that, I feel like kids, especially if you're going to have a gun in the home, they need to know how to be around it.
Absolutely.
And not to play
Absolutely.
with it and stuff like
it allows you to control what they learn.
Right.
Because for me, like I said, and there's a lot of people that don't agree with me training my son. However, I have guns in my home. I have to know that he could safely handle a gun if need be. Right. For number one. For number two, I would much rather control what he's taught.
Versus something out in the
street. So if he's
right.
exposed, if he's at a friend's house or a
right.
family member's house, and he's exposed to a gun with somebody, he could correct you.
Correct.
If somebody's playing with a gun, he could first off say, well, hold on, that's loaded. Mm-hmm. And you need to put that down because you're not doing it correctly.
Right.
Or excuse himself or get help.
Right.
Because guns are not toys. It's not to be played with.
And I think this is a big deal because everybody needs education around firearms. I think
Absolutely.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, in our culture, we're programmed not to discuss certain things, and
right.
guns are one of them.
Yes, right.
So the whole, we don't talk about it, it'll go away, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So we have to educate our kids on firearms, on
right.
how to safely handle a firearm. And I'm proud to honestly say that if my son's ever in a situation, he may be the only one that could disengage a gun and make it safe for an adult, instead of waiting on the police to come or whatever right. the situation is. So I'm actually proud of that. But with the youth program, I also want to bring some of the programs that we teach over with Florida Fish and Wildlife. Mm-hmm. I want to bring those programs to our community because I'm also a hunter safety instructor, like mm-hmm. I said, with Florida Fish and Wildlife, but also a shooting team instructor. Okay. So our kids compete in shooting competitions for money.
That's big.
And those are things that I know kids in our community would love to do, but they're not aware of it.
I'm going to talk to you after because I might be able to link up something. So I'm going to talk to you after. But my next question is, if you could say anything to your younger self, what would it be?
I want to thank my younger self for the strength, drive, and determination. Because without that, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
I love it.
I taught myself at a young age to learn to self-motivate. Mm-hmm. In return, I don't need it's good to have, I'm not going to say that, it's good to have a support system. Right. But I'm going to motivate myself with or without.
You don't need validation to keep going.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
I love it because a lot of times you have to be your own cheerleader.
Absolutely.
Until everybody else catch on.
Absolutely. And it's mm-hmm. a lot of people that they told me, them people ain't gonna let you do that.
Mm-hmm. Now
I'm doing it.
Exactly.
I'm doing it.
Look at me now.
Right. Right. And ultimately, I want to own my own gun range. That's the ultimate goal. I want
the way you going, you're going to get there.
A gun range. I want a one-stop shop. I want to be able to teach my classes, sell guns, and have a African American female-owned range.
I like it.
Yeah.
And the way you're going, it's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen.
I'm determined.
It's definitely gonna happen.
I am. I hope so. I'm praying for it.
Okay, we're gonna pray for it. We're gonna put it out in the atmosphere. It's gonna be. It's gonna be. It's gonna be.
It's gonna be.
Well, do you have any words for Bella Talks?
Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of Bella Talks.
Thank you. I'm a huge fan of you after you done been on here and my mama in the background doing her praise dance. Yep. We are a fan because you brought us a lot of good information.
I appreciate that. But keep doing what you guys are doing. This is something that's needed also in the community because it's a lot of people. I watch, like I said, I'm a huge fan. You guys talk about, mental health. It's a lot of things that you talk about, the things that traditional broadcasts don't want to talk
about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we need to,
the elephants in the room
happening. Mm-hmm. And we want to know how to take on, or how do we address it.
Absolutely. And it's necessary.
It is very necessary, because it's happening. It's not gonna, like you said, it's not gonna go away. Mm-hmm. So why not educate ourselves on it?
Absolutely. And I know it's a lot of people that that can relate to a lot of the topics on the show that I'm pretty sure get strength just from watching, the show and, hearing the things that, your guests talk about and their testimonies and things like that. You never know who you're impacting.
Right. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback. So thankful.
No problem.
Thankful. Well, I appreciate you for being on the show, and I have a Bella Talk shirt for you.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate you, and the information you gave was so informative. And me and my mom will be coming out to the gun range because we definitely have been thinking about this, and it's almost like it kind of was God, because I was telling her I have a packet in my car that I've been riding around with for like 6 months trying to fill it out, and I'm like, I don't really want to because I don't know what gun to get. And then I was talking about going to the gun shows and stuff like that, and then here you go. So I'm like, this is just,
it's the universe.
It's the universe. It's supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
Because we've been talking about this for a while, and then when I seen your Facebook, I was like, okay, yes, I definitely need her on my show. I definitely do. So I appreciate you being on the show, and I thank you for my gifts.
Oh, you're welcome.
She gave me a taser and some pepper spray. So we definitely need that.
While we're working on that
ladies. While we're working on that gun, we got a taser and pepper spray, and I really appreciate this.
No problem.
So I have Miss Nyema Thomas, and I am K Bella. This is Bella Talk.